Hey guys, what's up? Completionist here, and welcome to my first kill Zulrah guide. To get started, let's go over the requirements. To access Zulrah, you must have completed the Regicide quest, which for the purpose of this guide, in your first Zulrah kill, I highly recommend you complete Roving Elves as well, and get yourself the Crystal Shield from it. This is the quest following Regicide, and it just requires 56 agility, and overall is not too hard to complete. For the recommended stats, I suggest you have 70 range, hit points, defense, 75 magic, and 44 prayer. You can kill the boss with lower stats, but it will be a challenge. So with that being said, I suggest that you increase these stats as much as you can and make it easier if you are newer to PvM. 75 to 80 plus would be preferred in each of these stats, and a higher level prayer would also be nice as well. Additionally, for easier access to the boss, it would be nice to have 76 agility for a shortcut alongside having fairy rings unlocked. This will allow you to avoid taking charter ships and wasting all your run energy, and is also the best way to get the Zulrah for future grinds outside of the Zulrah teleports, of course, which are only obtained from the boss itself. If you are only going for your first kill for the Western Province Diaries and don't plan on coming back anytime soon, you can ignore this for the most part and just use charter ships. Lastly, you might see a lot of people using Void for Zulrah, and it is a great armor set to use. However, it is actually worse than very basic and obtainable gear for DPS and defensive purposes. Only use it if you don't have access to the gear I will be showing shortly, or until you get your Elite Void following this guide. If you are using Runelite, I suggest turning on these plugins, being Ring of Recoil Notifier, Zulrah Helper, and Ground Markers. These will make the fight much easier and give you less to worry about during your kill. For example, the Ring of Recoil Notifier will tell you when your recoil is broken, alerting you when to put your next one on. You can also hold Alt and drag the recoil when it pops up on your screen to set it to a more subtle position. The Zulrah Helper plugin allows you to see exactly where to stand, attack, what to pray, and what phase Zulrah will be on during the fight. Overall, just making it very easy to follow what is going on and allows you to prepare in advance for your next phase. And for those of you not using Runelite, the same applies to the Zulrah rotation map website, which I'll be linking in the description below, which has the exact same principles as this plugin. Lastly, with ground markers, you'll want to download tile packs and install the Zulrah tile pack. These will mark important tiles you'll be using throughout the entire Zulrah fight and go hand in hand with the Zulrah Helper plugin. Now let's discuss the Ironman Strategy. If you are a normal account, I'll post a timestamp you can skip to, where it will make much more sense for you to pursue, given your account's GE accessibility. So, for you Ironman, let's go over gear. For the bare minimum, you are going to want the following setup. It is extremely easy to obtain and very low budget. For the Mystics, you can purchase this in the Wizard's Tower in Unil. The Black D-Hide can be obtained from clues or other means. The Helmet Is It Not and Rune Gloves are obtained from questing, but can be substituted for other items such as a Combat Bracelet, Archer's Helm, or Farseer's Helm. The God Cape and Avas are also obtained from questing and are very self-explanatory. For weapons, use a Fire Battle Staff or a Mystic Fire Staff, or a similar upgrade, alongside a Rune Crossbow. It might be tempting to use Iban's, but the DPS from Fire Wave is actually way better than Iban's Blast, given Zulrah's weakness to fire spells. Diamond Bolts Enchanted are going to be your best bolts ideally for this fight, but Ruby Bolts and Broad Bolts are good alternatives. The Crystal Shield is a huge help defensively for this fight, and again is obtained from Roving Elves as explained prior. That being said, it's not required. Good substitutes are a God Book, even if it is unfinished, or any other offensive or defensive offhand. Lastly, for your Amulet and Boots, fill these in with your best in slots, and bring 2 recoils for the fight. Here is a further gear breakdown of what you can bring if you have respective upgrades. Feel free to pause to review. And again, this is just the bare minimum I would use and recommend. You can use worse gear than I have shown, but just like the stats prior, it's going to make the fight much harder. Now as for your inventory, you're going to want to bring your gear switches, 2 Antipoisons, 2 prayer potions, runes for Fire Wave, preferably in a rune pouch, your extra ring of recoil, and either your Ardougne cloak and a Draman staff, if you have 76 agility, or coins and enemies to travel to a charter ship. Then of course bring your best food. I suggest bringing Karambwans or better, and try to mix in some combo eating because Zulrah can hit really hard. If you don't have Antipoisons or simply do not want to collect the unicorn horns to make them, you can buy them for about 400 GP each from Jiminia, I don't know that fucking name, and Karambja. Just make sure to bring your Karambja gloves for a discount. The same applies to Karambwans as well. If you can't fish them or you don't have any better food, you can buy these in Karambja Village as well. They are very cheap. You can fill your inventory in about 3 world hops, and it only costs about 3,000 coins. Now that you have your gear and inventory setups, let's get to Zulrah. Here are both ways of getting there. Again, the Pharaoh Ring and shortcut is a little demanding, you need 76 agility, but it is much better than using charter ships. As you can see, by the time I get to the pier, I have 0 run energy on my charter ship run, so I actually have to wait at the pier for a little bit before I can do the Zulrah kill. And that is going to be it for you Ironmen. Now that we're here, let me go ahead and get back to the normies and try to help them out too. So if you'd like, you can go ahead and skip to the following timestamp where we will get ready for the fight. So for those of you with normal accounts, let's go over the gear. For the bare minimum, you are going to want the following setup. It is extremely budget friendly, and the only causes for concern could be from questing, being the Helm and Nezit Knot, Crystal Shield, Rune Gloves, Avi's Accumulator, and God Gape. If you do not have these items, don't worry, as there are substitutes and upgrades you can swap for, which I will be showing now. And of course, Rigor and Augury would be a massive plus, but they are quite expensive and they aren't make or break, so simply put, if you have them, use them. And if you don't have them, don't bother, you can go ahead and get those later, they're not really necessary for this boss. As for your inventory, you're going to want to bring your gear switches, 1 anti-venom plus, 2 prayer potions, runes for fire wave, preferably in a rune pouch, your extra ring of recoil, your Zulrah teleport, and of course the best food you can afford, but I would suggest bringing combo eats as Zulrah can hit like a tank. So with your gear and inventory all set up, let's go ahead and use your Zulrah teleport and let's head to the boss. For the Zulrah fight, a lot of people will convolute and overcomplicate the boss as you do need to know a lot, however I will make this as basic and simple to digest as possible. To put it bluntly, Zulrah has 3 distinct color phases, a special phase, venom clouds, and snakeling spawns. For Zulrah's 3 color phases, there are green, blue, and red. When Zulrah is green, use protect from range in Mystic Might / Augury, and attack using your magic gear. That is it. When Zulrah is blue, use protect from magic and Eagle Eye / Rigor, and attack using your range gear. However, watch your health and make sure to eat over 45 hit points. The reason for this is in this phase, Zulrah can still use range attacks, and they have a max hit of 41, so this is where combo eats are super handy. And lastly, when Zulrah is red, turn off your protection prayers, use Mystic Might / Augury, and attack using your magic gear. In this phase, Zulrah will use a stun attack, which will throw you back and is easily avoidable. There are potential safe spots to avoid the attack entirely next to the pillars, but if they aren't available, simply move out of Zulrah's line of sight and you'll be safe. After a couple of these rotations that Zulrah will go through, they will enter a special Jad phase, where they will alternate their attacks and you will just simply have to swap between your protection prayers. It's pretty simple, and I'll give you a tip about that later on too. Lastly, throughout the fight, Zulrah will throw venom clouds and summon snakelings while changing rotations. You can avoid all the damage from the clouds by simply avoiding them, however the snakelings will hurt and have a max hit of 15. But don't worry about killing them as they do have 1 hit point and your recoils will take care of them for you. One final tip we're going to cover before we get into the boss fight is taking care of the venom. For those of you on normal accounts, you don't have to worry about this as you have anti-venoms pluses, but the Ironmen only have anti-poisons. When you are venomed, you're going to wait an entire cycle before you're hit. Once the venom damage reaches 8, you're going to wait 3 seconds before you get hit, and then click your hit points orb to remove the venom. This will simply turn the venom into a poison, meaning you still will take the damage, however instead of the damage increasing over time with venom, it's only going to decrease with the poison. And unfortunately, this is something you will have to keep up with throughout the entire fight. It is rather high maintenance, but it is very important that you keep up on this because venoms will start hitting 20 damage by the end of the fight. So, this might seem like it's a lot, but trust me, it is fairly simple. You just have to follow the rotations and focus on your prayers, and this will be a pretty easy time. So before we go ahead and board the boat, make sure to throw on your magic gear and set up your spell auto casting. For this first kill, just try to pay attention to what I'm doing in regards to focuses. Firstly, you'll notice, and you'll want to mainly focus on moving throughout the arena during phase changes to avoid venom clouds, along with changing your prayers to avoid taking unnecessary damage. Once again, referring back to the rotations map, which you can see in the far right on my case, and once again will be linked in the description below, we will see exactly how we should go about navigating these focuses and where we're supposed to stand and what prayers to use. And it essentially acts as a blueprint for the fight for those of you that have a hard time pursuing this boss. Let's go ahead and follow this blueprint and just simply look at the rotations on the right in relation to what I'm doing during the kill. I'll stop talking now so you can see what's going on, and I wish you best of luck with visually learning. So after going through all that information, you guys should have a decent understanding of Zulrah. For those of you who like to follow instruction that's easier for you, use the rotation map and stick to these tips that I gave you. For those of you who are still a little lost or have a little bit of a fast reaction time, maybe you'll like this method instead. Personally, it's what I use for Zulrah because the rotations are too high maintenance and it's worked out perfectly for me every single time. So when it comes to the fight, all I do is wait to see what phase Zulrah is on, and upon seeing the color, I switch my prayer and gear. That's pretty self-explanatory, and it's what you do in the rotation map as well. But when it comes to moving, I simply move to the opposite side of the arena when Zulrah surfaces in the middle on either side, and I just continue as usual. It's as simple as that, and I'll provide you a live walkthrough kill right now to showcase just how easy this is. And here we are headed to the Zulrah docks. We have the bare minimum gear that I showcased earlier with the Fire Battle Staff Power Amulet, the very basic switches. I do not have Rigor or Augury, and my stats are a little higher. They're actually very high, so this might inflate the damage a little bit, but as long as you have 70 plus in each of these attack styles, and you have slightly better gear than me, or even this exact gear, you can get a kill. I did it before on my Ironman way earlier on when I was trying to get Elite Void. It is 100% possible. So let's go ahead and put our auto cast to Fire Wave, use our offensive Magic Prayer, and start attacking. We're always going to head east because right away Zulrah is always going to spawn in this exact format, and you will always attack from here. Let's see what next phase is coming up. It is the range phase, so we're going to stay on the exact same prayer, except we're going to add Protect from Missiles here. We're not going to move quite yet because there's Venom Clouds in the way still. And we're not going to use our Anti-Poison because we're not going to get hit 8 just yet. So Zulrah's appeared in the middle. We're going to head this way, because we know with it being in the middle, it's going to swap sides. It's going to use its swing attacks. We're going to attack once. We're going to move here, use the Anti-Poison now, swap sides once again so we can't get hit. There we go. Now it's going to be the mage phase, so we're going to swap to our range gear. There's that range attack I was telling you about, and again, another Anti-Poison. Heal up, swap sides because it's now in the middle. As you can see, it's pretty simple to follow as long as you just have an idea of how the Zulrah fight will go, which this kind of simplifies it for you. The mage, once again, we're going to swap to range. Make sure we eat up. Stay above 45 hit points if possible. Swap sides because it's put to the middle again. Use another Anti-Poison because we're at nearly 8 hits. Towards your HP. So we're still in range phase. This could be the Jad phase. It is not. Ping sides once again. Staying above that 45 hit points. And there is the Venom about to hit an 8 once again. This should be the Jad phase, so we're going to go ahead and use these prayers. Okay, messed up. So as one attack comes out, we're going to swap to the opposite style. So there's range, so we're going to swap to mage. There's mage, we're going to swap to range. And we're going to do this exact same thing for every single attack. It's very counterintuitive visually, but it's actually the best way to go about this phase. And there we go. Zulrah is now dead. It was a 2-minute 47-second kill. Again, my stats are a little bit inflated compared to many of yours, so don't expect that fast of a kill, but it is definitely possible to get a kill with lower stats. And there we have it. You now know 2 completely different methods for killing Zulrah. One based on rotation maps and essentially an easy to follow blueprint for the fight. It's extremely precise and better for those needing instruction or having a slower reaction time. And the other based on reacting to Zulrah and the boss's movements, better for those with fast reaction times and those who struggle with the high maintenance of the rotation maps. So, with me having taught you guys how to kill Zulrah, and that being the purpose of this video, I don't want to keep you guys any longer. So for those of you that have made it this far, thank you very much for watching and I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to look out for my future videos and guides, and check out my Ironman Completionist series, which will be linked in the description below. Make sure to tune into my streams whenever I actually get around to streaming again, and join my Discord, which will also be linked in the description below. You could always subscribe, comment, and like if you want to as well, to show me that you want more guides like this from me. But most importantly, I hope all of you guys have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.